Live, Cleve.
Okay.
And we'll give it a minute to load. Good afternoon, everybody. Verl Workman, CEO of Workman Success Systems, and I'm here for our first Wednesday flash update. I want to let all of you know what an incredible last couple of weeks it's been. Incredible in a sense that I am blown away by the innovation and the creativity and the positivity that's being spread by our coaches and clients around the real estate industry, and I'm honored to be part of such an incredible group. I have invited with me today one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Cleve Gaddis from Atlanta, Georgia. Cleve runs an incredible team in Atlanta, Georgia. He's also a master coach with Workman Success Systems, has a very successful consulting practice and working with brokers and owners. And he's one of my favorite people when it comes to really figuring out what's going on in the marketplace, the way he looks at the world and his passion and his, I guess it's like a obsession with data that very few people actually have. Makes Cleve a great resource. So Cleve, welcome to the call today, and I appreciate you being part of this first Facebook Live.
I'm glad to be here for the inaugural edition. Proud to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here too, and I want to encourage everybody as you come on to the Facebook Live today that if you have questions for me or for Cleve, to go into the chat bar right underneath the video and ask your questions, and we'll do our very best to answer any specific questions you have. And we're doing a lot of research, and we're dealing with a lot of amazing things. We have some great we have some great things we want to share with you today. You know, Cleve, we've been talking about is we've been doing calls with our clients and calls with our coaching clients and our coaches around North America. It's been really interesting to hear some of the things they're doing to stay engaged and to keep their clients engaged. Some people are saying, you know, with this whole real estate deal, I think that we have this opportunity to crawl under the sheets and hide and not come out of bed, or to get up and face every day and attack it with the things that we have the ability to control. And we have naysayers out there that are saying the end of the world is coming. We have others that are not taking it seriously enough. Where do you believe we are in this whole coronavirus, COVID-19 structure? What's your attitude towards your business at this time?
You know, first of all, I think sometimes, Verl, it's not that people stay in the bed and under the covers. I think they actually get out of the bed and they crawl underneath the bed. So I think it's worse. Right. And by the way, I can relate to that. So what's funny is, you know, when I talk to people all day, every day, people say, well, you just don't understand the world like I do. You don't have the same issues that I do. And I want to say to them, I never do, but I want to say, what do you mean? I mean, I'm married. I have kids. I will have 4 daughters in college next year. I would like to think that I have the same amount of stress that other people have. The issue is that the things that make people buy and sell real estate have nothing to do with me. They have everything to do with them. And so I decided that I would do a little research, Verl, and I know you're going to be surprised, but I have some data for you. And it's only because, so I have to do this in self-defense. So I like data because I like to understand, you know, so they say it can get bad. Well, how bad could it get? Somebody told me that an economist projected that the closings in Atlanta would go down about 35% for about 3 or 4 months. And so I look at the world and I think, okay, what does that look like? Last year, let's just say there were 5.6 million resale homes sold in the U.S. So I went to look back and said, okay, well, what was it during the Great Recession from 2008 to 2012? I mean, how bad did it get? Because I survived the Great Recession selling real estate. Verl, you survived the Great Recession selling real estate. And the worst of all the years during the Great Recession, we still had 3.7 or 3.8 million homes closed in the U.S. that year. And believe it or not, one of the years, Verl, during the Great Recession, we had almost as many closings as we had in the United States last year. Now, give or take a few 100,000. But the reality is, for those of us who feel, and I'm not trying to say I'm the only one who feels passionate about it, but for those of you out there who feel passionate about helping people, there are going to be people who have life circumstances, weddings, divorces, marriages, deaths, kids, relocations for jobs, job losses, jobs change, promotions, demotions. They're going to have all kinds of stuff. And some of these changes trigger moves. and we need to be in the right place to help them. And so I almost feel like if we're not doing everything we can to help the people who want to be helped, then shame on us a little bit.
I love that. I think somebody ought to tweet that. It's that we can't control people's life circumstances. All we can control is how we are prepared to serve them in this difficult time. I got up yesterday morning and I was thinking about, coming in and doing the things that I need to do. I'm in a business as a motivational speaker to bring motivation and inspiration. And
it's not as easy today as it is normally, is it, Verl, to be a motivational speaker?
It may not be as easy, but it's definitely needed. And I'm finding that motivation isn't about telling people to be motivated, but it's more about helping them look at things differently. And for me, it's getting up every day and making a decision on what it is I can control. It's what can you control? And let's focus on the things you can control. And then the things you can't control, let's not spend our energy wasting it on things that we can't control. And by focusing on the things we can control, it allows us to think about our real estate businesses. I'd like to talk for a minute, if you can, Cleve. I've been sharing 4 principles, and you and I have discussed these at length. And I'd like to share it with our audience today, 4 principles that I believe are making the biggest impact for our real estate agents and our teams and our brokers that want to take this time to put themselves in a position to be able to capitalize on the bounce that's about to happen. A lot of people are talking about a pivot, or they're talking about a shift. And when I talk about shifting and pivoting, I think of sideways movement. But when I think about the bounce, I think about something that's going to happen that's going to cause a decline in business, which we're seeing. And then a bunch of energy is put into that catapults that business to the next stratosphere. And I want to be at the top of the curve of that bounce when it happens. And so I want to prepare my business, and I want to make sure everything is in place so that I'm ready for the bounce when it occurs. And I don't know if it's going to be in 30 days or 90 days or 6 months, but I know it's going to happen.
Absolutely. And there will be opportunities even when the ball's at the bottom of the bounce. So why don't you start with each one of the topics, and then maybe you and I can just discuss those.
All right. So the first thing that I'd like to talk about is that I think now is the time to get your house in order, that we have time that we're in our homes. And, I see people out working in their yards and their gardens, and they're getting their house in order physically. But where we should be focusing on is getting our house in order in our business, at our business house. And that means, to me, it means going back to the basics. It's doing the things that everybody knows they should be doing, but most are not. And some of those basics include, working and getting your database database really up to date and clean, removing duplicates, right? Going in and when you see a name you haven't talked to in a while, pick up the phone. And what do you say to these people when you call them, Cleve?
Hey, right now we say, hey, we're just doing a COVID-19 follow-up. Want to check on you and your family, see how you're doing. And we let them talk. And if they won't talk to us genuinely about how they're doing, we keep digging until we can get them to talk about their situation. We look for a way we can help them. So we ask them, is there anything we can do for you? Unfortunately, in most of our counties, we can't go to your house and do something for you, but I'm happy to, play games with you online or do whatever we can to entertain one another. And then we open up a little bit of a discussion on the market. And so we set the stage for the fact that it's okay if nobody wants to do anything, or if that particular person doesn't want to do anything in today's market. And so we say, hey, some of our clients have decided to put things on hold, given the circumstances. Others, given their life situation, they need to move forward no matter what's going on out there, Verl. And we have systems in place for safe showings, virtual showings, all of that, to help you do that in as safely of a manner as we possibly can. And, sometimes we have some really good conversations about it. People will say, what's going on? Give me some examples. Do you have anybody who has coronavirus? Do you know anybody who has coronavirus? Those types of conversations.
Right. Our good friend and master coach, Cleve Gaddis, placed a video on Facebook last night talking about how he and his wife got coronavirus, and they talked about the emotional thing they went through. And it was an awesome video. If you have a chance to look at that, look at Cleve Gaddis on Facebook, or at Rick Jiha, and look at Rick's. Cleve, you don't have it, but Rick did. And Rick's just starting to feel better. And our prayers are certainly with him from all of us at the Workman family. We hope he's feeling better. And he gave just a really heartfelt discussion about what it's been like as he's been going through it and watched his wife go through it. And now they're both on the mend, and it looks like things are going to go well. So it's worth the look. I love that you're reaching out to people. That sounds like a script. If we talk about something that is valuable And we're talking like, and it is Rick Jihad that I talked about. If we're talking about something that is valuable, like when Cleve uses a script for calling our sphere, if you'd like that, then we'll include it in some valuable giveaways. So I'm going to give you a link in your Facebook Live that you'll be able to click on, and we'll give you some valuable giveaways. If you'd like that, we also have a script for calling and following up with your B leads, your buyer leads, or your seller leads, and we'll include that along with your sphere of influence script. If you'd like that, just ask for it, and we'll make sure that's available to you. We'd love to be able to share. So going back to basics, what else is in the basics? So we're calling our sphere, we're doing our database, we're getting it up to speed, we're cleaning it out. What are some other things we can do?
Let me make a comment on the scripting for today's time before we move on. The nice thing about scripting in today's world is it's all the same. So you started talking several months ago, Verl, about SBO selling, serve before opportunity selling, serve before opportunity. And as this whole crisis started, I started thinking to myself, SBO, serving somebody before I have the opportunity, that's not good enough in today's world. And so I took the B out and I substituted an R. And so now our philosophy is serve regardless of opportunity.
Which I love.
You just have to find people to help. So let me give you an example. We got a call this morning. Somebody found us on Google. He's planning to sell his home to his father. You know what has hit the fan. His father's trying to get a better deal on the house. And he wants me to give him some advice as to whether or not the price is right. And when you serve regardless of opportunity, you have to help that person regardless of whether or not you'll have the opportunity to work with him. And so we're going to do a virtual meeting. We're going to do it in exactly 59 minutes from now, or excuse me, 49 minutes from now. And we're going to be on. He's going to be showing me the house. You just have to help people. And I'm not saying be like me. Just find people to help. And that's all you got to worry about from a scripting standpoint. If you genuinely care, you'll find people who will give you things that you can do to help them. If you don't really want to help and you just want to find prospects, nobody will ask you for anything. And if that's the case, then my suggestion is you stop calling and check your attitude and start back calling again once you feel better and more positive about helping people. Everybody needs help. Everybody's anxious. Everybody's nervous. Everybody's worried. They don't know what's going to happen. They're scared of the future. And people would love to hear, for example, that even in the worst market during the Great Recession, that we still had almost as many sales as we have today. So let's just get over it, stop being scared, and move on and find some people to help.
That's right. There's going to be some changes, and we're going to have to adapt to them. We're going to have to find new ways of doing business, but business is going to happen because those life events are going to continue to happen. And so let's have the right attitude. I said on a call yesterday, Cleve, that there's nothing there. The only thing that's more contagious than COVID-19 is a bad attitude. And if you have a bad attitude and you're spreading something other than joy and other than hope, then that's a lot more contagious than the coronavirus. So let's not spread a bad attitude.
Two things I got to tell you. I heard of John Maxwell. You know I love John Maxwell.
Right.
Sometimes when I'm coming to Salt Lake City, I actually see him at the airport in Atlanta. And he had a quote on Monday. It says, just because you're struggling doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still in the game.
Absolutely true.
Struggling doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're still in the game. I had a conversation earlier, Verl, with an attorney to give some advice on a home where our seller had COVID-19 almost 30 days ago. So they're a full 14 days clear. Everything is clean. And so we were talking about the obligations for disclosure if you're having new people come into the home. It was a very interesting conversation. And in the end, the attorney said something, and I thought it was amazing because here this guy has had something that nobody wants. And he said, you ought to ask another $10,000 for the house and sell him a bag of his blood plasma because he has the key to them not being affected by COVID-19. And I thought, what a cool way to look at that.
Right.
You know, been through it and it's been something terrible, but now he has something that almost gives him superpower compared to the rest of us.
Yeah, I love that. I love that thought process that goes through when people are just looking at how can I make a difference? And there's so many great ways. So, one of the things that I've been working with my clients on, Cleve, is we look at the way that they're following up and tracking and converting their leads. For the last couple of years, we've been in this frenzy of real estate, and lead conversion's been 2% or less for most of the lead sources. And so this is just a great opportunity for us to go back in and go through our Boomtown or Commissions Inc., open up our high volume lead generation systems and get into detail and really look at what's happened to the people that have asked or inquired on a property. And so the first thing is our database. And the second thing I'd really like everybody to focus on right now is going into your lead systems and cleaning them up, calling the people, finding out where they are in the process. There's going to be two things that happen. One, you're going to find out that there's been some lost business. You're going to find some lost opportunity. And I hope it hurts, because that means that you'll do a better job going forward at following up. And the second thing you're going to realize is there's some people who have new life situations that may not have been ready 6 months ago that are ready to go as soon as this thing slows down and we have the opportunity to go back out and do business the way we've done. But the big thing is to go back to the basics and bring your database, bring your lead generation systems all up to date with follow-up calls, and then setting the actions in motion based on what the needs of that client are.
So if I could share with you, I think there would be probably 5 things that I would ask myself, or I would encourage everybody who's listening today to ask themselves as they look at their CRM. And let's just call these CRM management questions. And so number one, I would ask myself as I went through, are all of my prospects, is everybody in my database categorized correctly? Are they a past client, a sphere? Are they a C, an A, a B? Are they in my top 50? What are they? Are they categorized correctly? And keep working on your database until you get 100% of the people categorized correctly. All right. Then the next thing I would ask myself is, does everybody have an upcoming to-do item and no outstanding to-do items? So do they not have any past due action items? And do they have an upcoming, either an activity or an action plan or whatever you call it? And everybody needs to have that. And that action plan never needs to, or that activity never needs to be further than 30 days out, because no matter what, in our programs, you follow up with everybody every 30 days. Number 3, everybody needs to have the ability for you to contact them via text, email, and by phone. So if you don't have the information, get it updated and get it all in there. And then make sure that through your CRM, the ideal way is to make it work through your CRM, Viral, that you can communicate with them that way. So then the last couple are kind of interesting, and sometimes you have to play around with it just a little bit. So you need to make sure that you are sending people information on listings, regardless of who they are and why they're in your database. You need to send them information on listings. Well, it causes a little bit of a problem because not everybody's interested in listings.
Right.
So if somebody already owns a home, then you set them up on a listing search for homes just in their neighborhood. All new active listings, all new price changes, withdrawals, expireds, closings, whatever they are, you just send them stuff in their neighborhood or their school district or something that would be interesting to them. And then all of the buyers, you make sure you have them set up on some type of e-alert or automated search. And then the last thing, and here's the real tickler, is you need to have a way to make sure you understand who is doing online activities that indicate they might have a higher level of interest in something compared to everybody else. So a lot of the high volume lead generation platforms, they will sort your traffic to your website, and they'll sort it by who came in last and next and next and next and next. Sometimes things don't do that. So you need to go in and look. Let's just say you had them set up in your listing service, Viral. You just go in and see the last 10 people who have been online and see what they've looked at. And you try to have a meaningful conversation with them about something that they can relate to. And I think those are great tips for keeping your CRM up to date, CRM management.
I think we way overcomplicate what it means to go back to the basics. I think that the basics are just the basics. What I've learned, and we have some amazing people that have logged into the call, Cleve. Say hello to some of our friends like Lee Tessier and Josh May and Mark Deering are all on the call with us today. They're all Paul Sessoms here, Dan Mumford, a good friend of mine from way back, used to be next door neighbors. Bob Sokoler loves our setup. We've got great people. Yeah, just really cool people that are on this call today. It's a great opportunity for those of you that are joining us or just joining us to ask questions. You have a group of people on this Facebook Live that are closing literally thousands of transactions a year. Laura and the Ryans are here. It's fun to see. It's fun to see everybody on this call. So our first thing is we're going to go back to basic and really get good at working our database and our sphere. I want to encourage people to ask questions. And there's a couple of questions. Before I go to questions, what I'd like to do, Cleve, if we can, is I'd like to just let's give the kind of the highlight of our top 4. Number 1 is go back to the basics. We talked about sphere of influence. We talked about our lead systems and getting those up to date. We teach a system at Workman called your top 50. It's your 8651. It's how to close 86 transactions a year working with 50 people 1 hour a day. And there's a very specific system involved in reaching out to the top 50, but it's the top 50 people who are most likely to give you 1 referral a year. So we want to make sure that we're doing an extra level of touches with those people in our top 50. So if you don't have a top 50 list, now's a great time to create one. The second thing that I'd like to just kind of talk about is that we're asking people to do is to focus on their mental and physical health. Yeah. And when I say mental and physical health, that means something different to everybody. Cleve, I have on my desk, I've got my hand squeezer. So I'm working on my forearms. So I'm working on my physical forearms. I haven't got to the abs yet, but I am working on my forearms. And every day that I'm on the phone doing these calls, I've got those things going in both hands. And I'm working on my forearms because I want to be able to hold on to the rope behind the boat when we're at the lake this summer and have the strength to pull this big body up out of the water. That's my goal. So I'm working on the forearms. What does that mean to you when you work on your mental and physical health?
So, it means something different to me today than it did 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever I started staying home a lot. And I come to the office sometimes during the day. I'm the only one here, so it's nice and safe. And I've got my Clorox wipes that I take around with me. I saw somebody in the hallway and I tried to chase him with a Clorox wipe to clean. Here's what it means. So for me, Verl, mental and physical health is more about routine than it is anything else. And so it'd be so easy just to kind of sit around and do nothing. It'd be so easy. I mean, I love Ozark on Netflix, and I'd love to just sit there and watch the whole season. In fact, they film most of it right around the corner from my house in Atlanta, so I recognize half the scenes. I have to get up at the same time. The first thing I have to do is I have to feed myself with some good positive information. I'm actually reading Live in Grace, Walk in Love. It's a book by Bob Goff, Goff. It's got an inspirational quote of the day. 2 days ago, it says, hey, don't love somebody who's easy to love today. Love somebody who's hard to love today, because that's what we're supposed to do. And it was the kind of message I needed to hear. So number one, get up, follow the same routine. Number two, feed myself with positive information. The greatest salesman in the world. I need to read that every single day, The Greatest Salesman in the World, or read something else that gets you inspired. That's exactly right.
I got my copy right here.
And as soon as you're finished, find someone to help. I had somebody say to me earlier, I'm just so anxious. And this sounds terrible for me to say this, and anybody who's listening, they're going to think, oh my gosh, Cleve is such a jerk. But I said, just get rid of the word anxious and substitute the word selfish. And I hate to say that, but if you're anxious, it's because you're thinking about yourself, and you're in the same exact situation that everybody else is in. So just go find somebody to help. And people who need help worse than others, figure out a way to help them. Now, from a physical standpoint, I'm walking 3 times a week. I'm walking 5 miles with my daughters. It's uphill and downhill. When we went on Friday, I wasn't absolutely sure I was going to make it home. There's a couple rest areas, one about 50 feet from the other one, and I actually stopped at both of them. And then we're playing some tennis. Now, I'm not very good at playing tennis, and if they hit it too far away from me, I don't make a huge effort to go get it. I'm trying to make sure my back stays in good shape. But the reality is I'm trying to spend time doing something that's exercise and also do it with my family. I don't normally have my 4 daughters home, and so I'm trying to find great ways to build a relationship with them. Most of the time, we're the only ones down at the tennis court, so we're still practicing social distancing, but we're doing real connecting in our family. And you'll be proud to know, Verl, nobody has beat me yet.
No,
they come close, but they hadn't beat me yet.
Dano from Maui says hi to you and me both, Cleve, and it's cool to see him on here. Aloha, Dano.
In Hawaii.
Hawaii. Staying physically and mentally healthy means, to me, it means serving. If you're constantly thinking about yourself, then you're not going to stay physically healthy or mentally healthy. The walls tend to close in on us when we're working from homes and we're doing our homeschooling with our kids. And you sit in that dark place all the time. At some point, something has to give. Just get up and go for a walk. Go out and do things. I've played more horse recently with my 15-year-old than I have in the last couple of years, because he's finally realizing that, hey, Dad's not so bad. Now, the cool thing about that is he has yet to beat me. So we'll go outside and shoot a little game of horse on a sport court. And to me, those precious moments you can't get back. It's when kids are at that age, when they think they know it all, it's really fun to have those few moments where you can connect with them a little bit more deeply. And to me, those deeper connections that I'm having with the people that are closer to me is what's feeding me spiritually and mentally. And it's giving me the ability to look forward and be positive. The third thing we wanted to talk about today was, in real estate, I'd like to know, for those of you who are on and watching the video right now, or that log into the Facebook Live later, I would like you to post how many transactions you have listed or closed in the last 7 days. And I would like everybody else to see how much business is actually transacting. I was on the phone with one of my clients yesterday, Mark Boyland, who's in the Westchester, New York area, right in the epicenter of where everything's going on, and has 4 new listings and 4 new pendings in the last 7 days. And so they're working, they're doing business, they're just doing it differently. And so, Cleve, I'd like to talk a little bit about what it means to become a real expert at virtual real estate. So number 1 is we're going to focus on the basics, go back to the basics. Number 2 is we're going to work on our physical and our mental health. Number 3 is we have to become experts at virtual real estate and every aspect of virtual real estate. And we've got a couple of documents that I'd like to show you in a video on that we'll make it available to you. But let's just talk about what it means to be an expert in virtual real estate. A lot of people think they know how to use Zoom, therefore they're an expert in delivering a presentation. Is that true?
No, they don't know how to use Zoom in most cases. And so, you and I've been using Zoom for 3 years. Zoom every week for the most part with my team on Mondays, a lot of times on Fridays when I'm in Salt Lake City. And so I decided just to kind of get some of my team members and let them host a Zoom and let them, sort of do an online virtual walkthrough, start as if I wanted to go see 5 homes and start by showing me a map and which way the home faced. And here's the school district and here's how you get there. And then we zoom up and we go inside the house doing it all virtually. And to say that it was a disappointing experience would be an understatement. There's no way I would have bought any of those 5 homes because I didn't understand anything about them. So not only do we have to teach our people how to do it and we have to practice doing it ourselves, but we have to come up with a rhythm for how we do it. Like if you go show a home, you don't go in the basement door first. And so you walk through the front door and you talk about this and you walk around the house. And so you have to do that. And so I had people, they would show homes, but they never would show where the home is. And I live in North Atlanta and we have a Forsyth County, and there's a Forsyth, Georgia that's about an hour and a half south of here. And if you were showing me a house that was in Forsyth, Georgia and not in Forsyth County, I wouldn't care what it looked like at all, period. So the first thing I want to know is where is it in the right school districts, things like that. So there are certainly some things that people need to practice. But what I want to tell you is if you're a team leader and you're listening, is to let them show you they know how to do it. Let them show you they know how to do it. We're calling our virtual showings, we're calling them not a virtual showing, not a Zoom showing or a Zoom meeting. We're calling them an as if you were actually there showing.
I love the name, as if you were actually there.
As if you're actually there showing. We can do it together. And what's interesting is most people in today's world today, to Verl, they don't understand, okay, I'm taking my prospect, and let's just say that you happen to be in my top 50. And let's just say that I've called you for our top 50 call, and I've said, Verl, how's Colleen? How are the kids? Anna's back from school. How's everybody feeling? Is everybody good? Blah, blah, blah. Is there anything I can do to help you? Oh, Anna was asking me a question. Can you send her this? Great. Now we've got that out of the way. I've helped you with that. And then I say, hey, just so you know, the market's slowing down. Some people are deciding to take a pause. We're okay with that. Some people are deciding to move forward, and we have a way to help them with that as well. Is there any questions or anything I can do to help you from a real estate standpoint? And you say, Cleve, there's a house on Fifth Avenue around the corner from where I live. It's got weeds growing up in the yard. It's just got a listing sign. I'd like to know a little bit more about that. Hey, Verl, are you at your computer? Yes, great. Let me jump on Zoom. And you can't say, I'm going to send you a link. I'm going to send you a calendar invite. I'm going to do all this weird stuff. I say, go to zoom.us, click on join a meeting. Here's the code. I have a professional account, so my code is my phone number. I can remember what it is. And I say, punch this code in, let's go there. And then we pull it up and we do this full virtual walkthrough of the property. All you want is some information. And what I need is to take it to the next step. So here's the missing link. We know how to do things virtually. We know how to have conversations with people and help them with what they need. We don't know how to combine the two together. So the transition from you and I talking to jumping on a Zoom, you have to have a reason for doing that. And I say, oh, cool, I know that house on Fifth Street. Hey, I've got the ability to do an as if we're actually there without you and I having to meet there tour. Are you at your computer? Let's jump on this thing. And you're like, great, I'd love to do that. I'd like to be there with you. In fact, I'd like to be anywhere than here right now. So let's do it.
Right.
So we have to combine those things. When we're selling in a normal world, when we get a lead, the next thing we want to do is get face-to-face with them. We want to figure out whatever we need to do to try to get face-to-face because that increases our chances of converting, right? Nothing, but nothing changes.
Right.
In today's world. You got to get face to face with them, because let's take Dano Sales. He's all the way in Hawaii, and I can't build a relationship with him unless I can see him. I can't decide whether or not I want to work with him unless I can see him, unless I can see his facial expressions and see his emotions coming out and how he wants to help me. And so we have to get face to face. And that's where people are missing, because they're like, okay, I'll just wait until the coronavirus scare is over and then we can get face to face. But in that case, a lot of the people you're talking to, they will have already moved on and bought with somebody else and gotten the greatest deal on earth, because no other buyers are out there. And you'll be left at home sitting there twiddling your thumbs.
You know, this virtual world that we're living in, the ability to go on quickly and be able to find comps in your MLS or identify a property and know whether or not it's on the market and be able to show that houses are selling. If you don't have the ability to do that, then you don't have a reason to get on, as Cleve was talking about. The agents who are figuring out how to do things virtually, let me share with you, Cleve, some of the transactions that have happened in the last 7 days. Tammy Slay has closed 2, pended 1, and listed 2. Lisa Handley has closed 3. We have Nate Paulus has 1 listing and 2 closed. This is just the last 7 days. People are saying real estate has stopped in my area, but the reality is it's not. Reed Martin has closed 2 and listed 2, and he's working on an offer. Listen to this, Cleve. Lisa Handley's team has closed 11 in March with her team. Congratulations, Lisa. Well done.
Earl, let me ask a question. Now, because of coronavirus, do they still get to keep all the commission? But by the way, a lot of people, they act like they can't make money in a world of coronavirus. You get to keep all the commission when there's coronavirus. I mean,
right. You know, Cindy Fry, who's I think she's in Colorado, she's done 2 closings, 2 listings, and has 2 pending. And we're talking about just in the last 7 days. So I want to say to all of you that are posting your numbers, that are putting things on here, congratulations. Thank you for not crawling underneath the bed. Thank you for getting out there and figuring out how to do it differently. I believe that there's a list of about 20 things that you should be able to do virtually. And we've created that list for you. We're going to make that available to you in a download just for being on this Facebook Live today. So we're going to give that to you. The 4th thing, Cleve, is, and I think this is the most important thing we can do, is that you sent me a quote, and I don't remember who quoted it, but it said that light always shines brighter in dark places. And I love that concept, is that if we choose to be the light, it's going to shine much brighter amongst all the darkness that's around us. And that's just not an attitude thing. You actually have to have some data and some numbers and some stats, and you have to have the ability to have intelligent conversations with someone to shed light when all of the information that's coming into them is so dark. All you have to do is turn on Fox or CNN, and you have this consistent darkness and doomsday that's happening out there. But the reality is, just look at the people on this call. There is so much joy and there is so much interaction, and they're reaching out to their people and they're putting things under contract. We know that these are people that are giving of their light, and it's making a difference, and they're helping people at a time when life events are happening.
And so think about this. So I've never met the guy who sent me that quote. I've been friends with him on Facebook. He happens to do property management coaching and consulting. His name is Jason Hall. He and I've never talked to one another, but I see him post that quote that says lights are most beautiful when surrounded in darkness. And he, even though I've never met him, has been a source of lightness for me in a time of darkness. Because most days when I get up, I don't feel like going around being everybody's light. I'm like, let me just be my own light. You take care of your own light. But the reality is, if we're going to help people, we've got to get out and we've got to be their light. And we're only remarkable. We're only truly noticeable when it's dark all around us. It's an amazing concept when you think about it. But here's the problem: is how do you take that and you put that into action? How do you take that and you put that into action? If I, for example, want to be a light for Verl Workman in a world of darkness, I have to know that everybody around Verl at this point wants different things from him than I do. So he feels responsible for carrying the load. He's got to move his business forward. He's got to deal with struggles and employees and all this kind of stuff. So if I want to help him and I want to be his light, I just need to figure out what he's trying to do and then figure out how to help him get there. And that's all you have to do to be somebody's light.
You think about that, we way overcomplicate it.
Yeah. And by the way, it can be I don't know when to fertilize my azaleas. It can be my mailbox is dirty and I'm not sure how to get it pressure washed. It can be, I think I need to have my roof cleaned. Do I use a regular pressure washer? It can be, I've got water leaking into my basement. What am I supposed to do? Oh my gosh, we're in coronavirus and my termite bond expired. Just found a way to help them. I mean, that's what they're looking for.
Regardless of whether or not you're going to make money on the phone call, it's regardless of opportunity. Yeah, here's a funny one, Cleve, as people are posting their numbers and what they've sold.
Yeah.
Bob Sokoler writes that he did in the past 10 days, he's got 12 under contract and 4 closings. And then he edited his note a minute later saying, well, whatever I did, it's just one more than Lee Tessier.
Oh, good. Well, that's fair. I knew it was going to be one more than Lee already. He didn't have to tell us that. I knew that. But isn't that amazing? And listen, I had a call with Bob Sokoler a couple of weeks ago. He's struggling. He's dealing with difficult situations, and he's just going out there and he's just making it work. And God bless him for having some success, for being willing to get out there and put his neck out and try to make people happy and help people even in a down market. I love it.
Yeah, I love that. So Cleve, I'd like to, if you have a minute and you don't mind doing that, would you mind sharing your screen with us and just kind of show us how you're thinking about the coronavirus and what kind of resources you're putting together to share with clients? And then maybe we share 1 or 2 things in this flash update with our audience today that will help them message to what they can expect based on what we've learned in the past. Would you mind doing that?
Sure. So I, unfortunately, as Burl said, I am a data geek. That is an understatement. I guess it probably comes from not having total confidence that I know everything that I need to know in order to help people, Burl. So I just act like I do and do a lot of research to see if I can get it all figured out. But I have created what I call a coronavirus management folder, and every single thing I find about coronavirus, about the market, about how people are dealing with things, about stocks and trends and PE ratios and anything that helps me have better conversations with people, I just put it here. And so let me give you, would it be okay if we just kind of went through some of the different categories?
Sure. But you first have to say hello to Christy Buck and congratulate her on 30 closings this month so far.
Oh my God, Christy Buck. Nobody's surprised Christy Buck had 30 closings this month. That's amazing. She's a machine.
Right. Congratulate her whole team. What an amazing group of hardworking people in Texas. I just love their team and I love the energy they have and the light that they bring.
When I grow up, I'm going to move to Houston, Texas and be a buyer's agent for Christy Buck.
Me too.
A lot of money.
I'm either going there or to Amalfi Estates and work for Anthony's team because their houses are $4 million. I've thought about that too.
So, and by the way, they're on total shutdown. Anthony is going to do some type of showing, long distance showing or something this afternoon. And I love it that people are out there doing it and making it happen. Hey, you mentioned Mark Boyland earlier. He and I talked a couple of days ago. He is doing this online, basically everything you need to know about the market webinar with himself and 2 other experts doing a Zoom meeting. He says, gosh, Cleve, we sent out our invitation before we really even thought through what we're going to talk about. I said, great, just get on there and talk about anything. And I love how creative people are being in today's market. I absolutely love it. So Verl, one of my favorite things that we have, and a lot of our Workman coaching clients have seen it, is we've got a 30-day plan that says, hey, if you're suffering from coronavirus like everything else, these are things we think you should do over a 30-day period. And it covers a lot of the things that we've talked about. Get your CRM up to date, send out newsletters, talk to people, call the FSBOs, all of that good stuff. So we've got that. But let me just go
before you move on, Cleve, because it's hard for everybody to see what you're showing here on the Facebook Live. It's okay. So I'm going to give everybody a link. And so if you'll go to workmansuccess.com /FB Live 4120.
Yeah.
And if you'll download the video on the Zoom basics and the checklist for things you must master for Zoom, if you download that, anything else we demonstrate, we'll send you in a follow-up email. And so if you want to go ahead and download that, April Ray, if you look at April Ray's comments in the comment section, she's posted a link to that. So anybody can go ahead and download give those 2 premium gifts. And then if there's something that Cleve shows that you would like, we'll go ahead and we'll make that available. So I think we ought to make available, Cleve, the scripts that we talked about, and we ought to give them the 30-day action plan. Are you okay with just giving those away?
Absolutely. And if anybody from Workman can't get access to the exact file, just let me know and I'll make sure and share it with you. I think we've got everything open for you.
Brooke Stein says hello as she just joined the call.
Oh, Brooke Signs. Hello. Brooke and her daughter are doing the greatest videos. Every day I look forward to getting inspired and being grateful for something because those two are. I love it.
They absolutely are. It's what they're grateful for. It's the gratitude. It's the gratitude video with their daughter. Every day I wake up and I turn that on and I wake up and say, yep, me too.
Yep. Yep. No, I love that. I absolutely love that. So, Burl, I keep up with all kinds of charts and graphs. Most of it from Keeping Current Matters. Some of it we put together ourselves. But for example, if somebody starts talking about, oh my gosh, I think we're going to have a recession, then I might just scroll through and I noticed a couple of people that I'm friends with on Facebook posting videos about these, using these slides, but we talk about the mortgage credit availability index and how people are better qualified for homes today, how there's less months of inventory today than there was before. So I'm trying to help them understand that even though that there's probably going to be some difficulties in the market, it's probably not going to go straight to a recession, just to help them have a little bit of additional confidence. I'm keeping up, Burl, with issues about closings and title insurance and lenders. In Georgia recently, they've actually passed the Supreme Court lifted a requirement that an attorney be present in closing. So within the last 4 or 5 days, we've gotten the ability in Georgia to do electronic closings, so they can do a closing via Zoom.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying that follow and be Georgia, but there's all kinds of changes taking place in every state that are allowing sort of the world to change, to conform to what's going on in today's world. I'm keeping up with everything to do with the coronavirus, the government coronavirus program, especially the payroll protection program. If you're on and you're listening and you have employees, you need to look into the SBA payroll protection program, because you could have the ability to borrow some money and have 2 months worth of payroll forgiven. Borrow money for 2 months of payroll and have it forgiven. And then Verl also could borrow a little bit of extra money, possibly to pay some rent, some utilities, things like that. And the government has just got some fantastic programs. I want to be able to educate people who are independent contractors on how they can apply for unemployment benefits, or how they can apply for the same benefits, because they can apply for a loan to cover their pay over a couple month period. And so I just want to make sure that everybody knows. One of the things that I've had as much fun sharing as anything is Chance Brown, who is one of my clients in Houston, Texas, started, I think they're on their 3rd week now. So I think I call him a trendsetter. I say he started the online Zoom happy hours. And so every Wednesday, he's not on my calls on Wednesday afternoon because he does a big happy hour. And Verl, I logged on to their happy hour last week after I had a call with my clients, and I know that the happy hour was really, really effective, because the person who was talking to me, evidently she's allergic to alcohol, because her tongue had swelled up so big that I couldn't understand what she was saying. She was trying to talk to me, but I didn't understand what she was saying. So it sounds like a great happy hour. I'm not saying that everybody should get drunk during happy hour, but they're absolutely positively having some fun. I keep up with scripts and dialogues. I keep up with showing and listing protocols. So we've got some real cool things here. These were shared with us by RealVolve, Verl, and by FirePoint, and I thought it was great. They've got sort of, here's the showing etiquette. These are the things that we let, everything's been disinfected. We've left the doors open. Don't touch them. Don't disturb the furniture or sit on the beds. They've got another one, which is a virtual home buying program that goes start to finish. We'll do a virtual consult, and then we'll do all of our electronic signatures. We'll do earnest money delivery via wire, all this kind of stuff. The inspectors will go inspect without you're there. And here's what's interesting to me is if somebody shows me that I have an 8-step process to get from here to there and still protect myself from coronavirus, I'm all in. And so sometimes, Verl, it's just that we don't give others an opportunity to have a way to sort of solve their problem and accomplish what they're looking for. I keep up with special. Oh, sorry, Verl, you got something?
Well, yeah, because I think a lot of people, they have a process, but it's in their head. They don't take the time to create a system around it. And we're all about creating systems. And I think that you can say that, oh yeah, I practice safe showings and all of those things. But if you don't write it down and put a process in place, it doesn't seem authentic or real to the consumer. And so we need to put our processes in writing, and they need to be posted in places that people can see, so that they can see we're taking it serious, that we're going to protect their health and their family as well as our own.
And Verl, if you don't mind, let me show you what that looks like.
Yeah,
because
please.
it doesn't have to take much to put a process in place. So with FHA loans and VA loans, I've been talking to my clients for a couple of weeks, and hopefully everybody's getting the word that there's an issue when it comes to Ginnie Mae insuring those mortgages and the relationship between the servicer and the investor. I'll let you do some research if you're on to figure out how that works. But if somebody's getting an FHA or VA or USDA or any government loan, you have to be asking lenders these questions. So I listened to a podcast this morning. The podcasters gave great information on what to ask. I changed it just a little bit from my phone, not from my computer, from my phone. I logged into my Google Drive. I created a document that says questions to ask lenders. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so people might be able to see it on the screen just a little bit. And so this will be the process that our buyers agents follow when it comes to talking to lenders about buyers loans. And so number one, they're going to ask them, what is your turn time? How long does it take you to get them closed? Number two, will the buyer still qualify under your new underwriting guidelines? Because in a lot of cases, when they made the application, underwriting guidelines were one thing, and now underwriting guidelines are something different. Number three, have you spoken to the buyer about the stability of employment? If somebody is employed in the restaurant industry, if somebody is employed in hospitality, they might be worried about their employment, the stability of the employment. So we need to talk about that. We need to be upfront. And then, is the servicing of the loan after closing solid, or is there a chance a servicer might not want to accept the loan? And that's the key question right there, because what happens is on government insured loans insured by Ginnie Mae, the servicer has to front any missing payments. So if Verl Workman missed a payment, Cleve Gaddis is Wells Fargo, you missed a payment, I have to take the amount of interest that you would have paid and I have to pay it over to the investor. And so we just create a process. And so I just put it there this morning. I'll go in and I'll clean it up later. On Friday, when I have a meeting with all of our agents, we'll show them this new program and it gives them something to follow. So you are so right when you say you have to have a written plan for how all of that works. You just do.
Cleve, a lot of our listeners are asking a few questions, and I'm gonna ask, and we'll answer together some of those questions. One of the questions that came out is, how do you make a virtual listing presentation be as effective as when you're in the home? When you're in the home, you get to read their body language. You get to look at areas in the home that need to be cleaned up or need to be fixed before you put it on the market. You might have to have your stager come in. So you've got to go through all this process virtually. What are some of the things that you would recommend that an agent doing a virtual listing presentation can do to have the same effectiveness?
So you need to, yes, it's not going to be the same as if you're face-to-face with them, but do everything you can to make it just the same. So let me give you an example. So I'm meeting with a guy in 14 minutes, and he has already sent me pictures of every single room in his home, pictures of all four sides of his house, pictures of his front yard and his backyard. And all those pictures have been uploaded into Google Photos. So he texted them to me, and I just, from my phone, click, upload them into Google Photos. So the first thing you do when you meet somebody online is you build rapport. So we're going to actually be on FaceTime. So he's not going to be able to see everything on my screen because he doesn't have a computer to go on to Zoom. He could do Zoom, but FaceTime will be easier. And so I will first build rapport. Where are you going? What are your needs? What are you trying to do? What don't you like? What are you worried about when it comes to a realtor? What good experiences, bad experiences? I'm going to learn how I need to talk. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to do a video walkthrough of the home. And I'm going to pull up the pictures and I'm going to talk about the rooms, and I'm going to ask questions and the countertops in the bathroom and what needs work and what do you plan to do before you list it. All the same stuff, Verl, that you would do if you were in the home. Then after you do that in a normal listing presentation, you go back to the table and you either talk about marketing, then pricing, or pricing, then marketing, depending upon what your preference is. And I have all of the information there to do that. So the reality is he's going to be leaving the home on Friday, which means we would have no issue going in and getting the home ready to list anyway. It could be that I missed something. It could be that I missed something of value. So I have to disclose, Verl, until I come and see the home, like physically, personally, it could be that there's some things I'm missing, but I'm just doing the best I possibly can. Remember, what we want to do in a virtual world is everything we can do to move it forward. But we have to understand there are some limitations on what we're able to do when we can't be right there with them physically.
You know, most states have come out with great COVID-19 disclosures and things that protect both the buyer and a seller because of our virtual environment. And just make sure you're aware of those things and that you're using those and putting those as part of your contract so that you have the ability to do physical inspections and make different adjustments when you have that opportunity. We have this incredible opportunity to help people and to serve them today. And I hope that we do everything in our power to be able to do that. And you could probably go ahead and stop sharing your screen I
wanted to tell you one other thing real quickly.
Okay, please.
On a virtual environment for listing, you have to have a place to put everything. And I know that not everybody can see it, but what you're actually looking at is a listing prep folder that's on Google Drive that is for all of our listing appointments that we've been on in 2020. And so all I have to do is go find the property that I'm going to have a conversation with somebody about. And I just open the property. And so let's say I was doing this one. This is not the one I'm going on, but everything is there for me. All of my CMAs, all of the information, all of my research, everything is there, including any of the presentations that I need to do. So just make sure you have it all set up in some way where you can do a virtual presentation and just try to recreate that face-to-face environment the best you possibly can.
What I see is that we have this unbelievable ability to help people, but we need to be organized in our presentation style. We have to be able to have quick access to the things that we want to be able to access and demonstrate. I'm challenging every group that I'm in front of, and I'll do the same with this group, is to find somebody on this Facebook group. There's a lot of people that know each other that you can role play and practice your virtual presentations with. And a couple times a week, let's get on. Let's do a virtual showing of your home. Let's do a virtual listing presentation of their home. Let's get a buyer agreement signed. We're finding that, Christy Buck put a great message on the board just now that says that her stager is doing virtual staging advice and doing recommendations remotely. And so we turn on FaceTime or you use WhatsApp if you don't both have a Mac or Apple phones or iPhones, and they're using WhatsApp and they're walking through, and the stager's doing those virtual recommendations. So instead of saying and giving us excuses of why we can't do things, ask the question, okay, that's new. How do we do it? How do we solve it? Instead of why we can't do it, how do we solve it? That's how we figure out how to get through this difficult time, Cleve.
And I know probably most people on here might have already heard this, but Mark Deering was on earlier, and he was on a call that you and I were doing last week. And he mentioned doing a virtual open house where they advertise a Zoom meeting for all potential buyer prospects and buyers. And everybody comes to a Zoom meeting. He's in his home. The buyers are in their homes. The buyer's agents are in their homes, and the seller's at her home. And the seller has a Zoom app on their phone. They turn the video around and they literally walk through the home doing the virtual tour. Now, this was a lower priced house, meaning lower than the average, and it was well priced, but they got multiple offers and negotiated a deal with nobody ever going to see a home. Now, that is just totally creative to me. I am so inspired by all the creativity of these true entrepreneurs that are figuring out a way not to make money during the downturn. They're figuring out a way to help people who need to move forward with their sale or their purchase or their rental or their investment or whatever. They're helping people who need to move forward. I just think that is so cool.
It is. I'm constantly impressed by the innovation and the creativity and the desire to serve by not just the people we know, but by the industry overall. And I just want to say to all of you that are out there making a difference that I'm watching, and I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful for the impact you're making on your communities. Cleve, this has been a great first flash update from Workman Success Systems. I appreciate you being part of the call, and we have lots of people that have been tagged in. I'm sure it's going to go out. A lot of people are going to view and see it. We'll continue to monitor your questions and do our best to respond to them via Facebook. Make sure you go to the link, workmansuccess.com, FB Live 4120. Download the free giveaways, and then anything that we talked about that we can share with you, we'll do a follow-up email. So opt into that. We want to thank you all for being here, Cleve. On behalf of Workman Success Systems, thanks for all you do. Thanks for sharing today, and we'll talk to you all next Wednesday on our weekly flash briefing.
See you later.
I think I ended it.
You did.
All right. Good job, Cleve.
Hey, nice job.
You did good, man. You just get rolling, man. I love it. No, I love it. I love it. So thank you for being just so easygoing and so prepared. The comments from everybody is great information. Thank you so much. Like everything is so positive. So I didn't expect anything else, but there's all kinds of comments that are coming on right now. Thanks for the great info. Like people I haven't heard from for years are on this call because they use my personal Facebook.
Yeah, we need to do, I did a full demonstration of how the long distance listing or how the virtual listing presentation worked last week, but we need to do another one of those. That's a big deal to teach people how to do that. And the reality is they can save a ton of time if they learn to do that